Despite the thumbnail of this video, there's more to character creation than creating characters. Believe it or not, character creation can make or break a D&D campaign. A good party with immersive roleplay, dynamic traits, and interesting backstories can elevate your game to a higher level of play. Hello everyone, I am the Dungeon Engineer, and this is Fantasy Framework, the web series where we go over the step-by-step guide for creating a D&D world and campaign from scratch. Character creation is one of the most integral parts of the campaign process. However, no one seems to be talking about it from the DM's perspective. I believe that the goal of the DM during character creation is to guide players to create characters that will be engaged with your campaign. And I'm not talking about pre-made characters or forcing your players to play characters that they have no desire to play. You are wanting each character to end in a place where both the player and the DM are happy with them. You also want to get a feel for how these characters will relate to your world and your campaign. To do that, you will explore their backstories and help construct their characters together. So how do you approach your player characters' backstories? You can boil down a character's backstory into 3 aspects: where they were, where they are, and where they are going. And to get a good feel of each of these categories, you should come up with 5 questions, 3 generic ones and 2 setting-specific ones. I'll be walking through these questions for our example world, but you can definitely steal some and change them to fit your own campaign. After these initial questions, you want to make sure that you pry deeper into interesting aspects that your players might bring up. While they are answering these questions, you want to encourage your players to take an active role in world building and creating specific aspects for your setting. We will also have a few criteria that will help bind these characters to your world even more. At this point, you should already have your starting location and your campaign brainstorming done. But you should also define the direction of your adventure, or the first quest. Let's do that for our example real quick. The party has been tasked on checking on Cactus, a desert-like world that has recently begun to wither. They must make sure lines are good for travel, they are receiving plenty of supplies, and to take note of anything that might be of concern. To do this, they must talk to Mayor Gar Dusthowl, the leader of the small town of Tumble. That's good enough setup for a first adventure. Now, our criteria. Each character must be a new Aetherclad, they must be level 1, and they must be good align or at the very least, neutral. Okay, now that we have that all settled, let's get into our questions. Starting with, when establishing where a character was, this is where you will use most of your prepared brainstorming. Here, you're trying to walk the thin line of providing enough information for your players to understand the world, but not so much to where you overwhelm them. Encourage your players to make active decisions in not only their own history, but the history of the whole world as well. Allow their decisions to change and alter the world that you're making. For example, in this world, if one of my players want to play a noble, I would help them create a noble house for themselves within Nexus. And this is the reason why we haven't fully fleshed out our world yet. 1, because that's an immense amount of work that just would take forever. And 2, so it feels like your players' character creation matters, and it will matter if you do it this way. Here are the questions I came up with. A simple, where are you from? Are you from a big city, small town? Did you live with nature? Are you from this plane? What relationships have you formed? Here you want to include both positive and negative. Family, friends, enemies. The more connections that they have here, the less NPCs you have to make. How was your childhood / community that you grew up in? Getting into our world-specific questions, how did the withering affect your childhood? Did you always want to be an Aetherclad? Alright, for our next set of questions, when establishing where a character is, you're essentially trying to gauge a character's personality, how they interact with their environment, how their past has shaped them. While this section will certainly help you as the DM out, it will mainly help your player get a grasp of their character. The questions I came up with are the following. Would you describe this moment as the best point in your life? How would you describe your character's personality? What is one thing that you can't live without? For our world specific, what is your role within the Aetherclad? Do you engage with the various cultures that are taking refuge within Nexus? This section is where you'll grab the majority of your plot hooks for your B and C plots. While it is not unlikely to get those from the earlier questions, for these questions you are essentially asking where you want this character to go within the campaign. Try to get information out of your players that is a tangible want for their characters, and preferably something that can't be achieved immediately. If the characters have no goals or desires, it is hard for them to go on an adventure if they don't really care about anything. And here's the questions that I came up with. What does your character hope to accomplish within the next few years? What is your idea of happiness and ideal version of life? If you were filthy rich, what would you spend your money on? Back to our world specific, what is your end goal for being an Aetherclad? What is your outlook on the withering? After each player answers all these questions, you can begin to construct your campaign. I will have a video later going through this process for our example world with real players. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll see you in the next one.